We, Canadian participants in the March of the Living, have come together to celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel's Independence Day. Last night and today, during Yom HaZikaron, we remembered those who exposed themselves to mortal danger in the days of struggle prior to the establishment of the State of Israel, and the soldiers of Tzahal, the Israel Defense Force who fell in the wars of Israel, beginning in 1948, 70 years ago.
This morning, sirens reverberated throughout the entire country. Traffic came to a halt. All public life stopped as everyone stood for 2 minutes of silence. We begin the celebration of Yom HaAtzmaut with the knowledge that our Israeli brothers and sisters have paid a dear price for their independence, a price that we solemnly and respectfully observe today.
Here we stand, in the vicinity of Latrun, where the Battle of 1948 was crucial in Israel's struggle for independence. The heroic efforts of the newly created IDF forces in this vicinity created the momentum for opening the way to convoys full of food, fuel, arms, and other supplies to the besieged city of Jerusalem.
70 years ago, a young 20-year-old platoon leader named Ariel Sharon, of blessed memory, nearly died in the same area. In a wadi barely visible from the road, where rushes now separate bright green vineyards from golden brown fields of grain, he was pinned down for hours with his men. He was shot in the stomach and thigh. His radio was destroyed, and he did not hear the order to withdraw. It was only when he saw enemy soldiers on the hills behind him that he realized that he and his remaining men had been left behind, alone. It was a very hot day, and all around it was burning. The fields were on fire, and only 4 of 35 men were alive and unwounded. I was dead thirsty. I was so thirsty that I felt I would not have the power to make it. This was the hardest thing that I have ever done. Though many fell in the battle, it was not until 1967 that Latrun was finally captured, during the first days of the Six-Day War. We will now recite a poem in honor of the memory of those brave and courageous soldiers who fell in battle here in this area in 1948 and in 1967, and in honor of all the heroic soldiers who sacrificed their lives in defense of the State of Israel since the founding of the Jewish state.
The Parade of the Fallen. They come from the mountains, from the valley, from the desert. They come, names, faces, eyes, and stand for the parade.
They come with the masculine step, strong and tan. They emerge from the shattered plains and from the burnt tanks. They rise from behind the rocks, from across the dunes, from connecting ditches.
Brave as lions, tough as tigers, swift as eagles. And they pass one by one between 2 rows of angels, who feed them candy and place flowers around their necks. And I look at them, and all of them are happy. These are my brothers, my brothers.
And they meet one another, black eyes and blue eyes and brown. And they remind one another of names and weapons and places, and pour each other cups of coffee and tea. And they shout out, subtly, calling, "How you doing, man?"
And they meet friends and comrades in the crowd. And the officers slap their privates' shoulders, and their privates shake the officers' hands. And they burst into song and clap their hands.
And the meeting lasts a day and a night, a day and a night, because there has never been a group like this in heaven. And then suddenly, they hear familiar voices crying. And they look homeward at fathers and mothers, at wives, children, brothers, and sisters.
And their faces are silent, and they stand confused. And then someone quickly whispers, "Forgive us, we had to. We won the battles, and now we are resting. These are my brothers, my brothers."
And so they stand, light on their faces, and only God alone passes among them, with eyes filled with tears, kissing their wounds. And God says in a trembling voice to the white angels, "These are my children, these are my children."